Hey guys, I'm Grace Torie, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl Grace Torie, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. If you're watching this on video and it's getting periodically darker throughout the video, I was waiting for my camera to charge and I fell asleep. So now it is 7:40 and I just woke up and I'm using like natural lighting, but girl, she's going. She's like, I don't know how much longer she's gonna be here. But guess what? Cuffing season is upon us. And if you don't know what that means, cuffing season is when everyone gets engaged pretty much. And with this being a podcast about navigating your 20s, I know most of you have friends or are the person who recently got engaged, you're about to get engaged. You're knee deep in it whether you really want to be or not, which is fun. It's a good time. I know my best friend just got engaged and I'm so excited for her, but I also love just like hearing about all the different ways people proposed and like all of that fun stuff. So what I am gonna say is like a little disclaimer. All of this is my own opinion. If I talk about like a worst proposal that I did not like and it turns out you really liked it, or say you were engaged and it's really close to how you got engaged, that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just not my taste. So we're allowed to have different opinions, you know. At the end of the day, everybody, it's all an opinion. But other than that, I'm just gonna be going through these proposals and sharing them with you. I went to the deep depths of Reddit and tried to find all of the worst proposals that I could possibly find, compile them, and make a list so that we can go over them together right now. But before we do, of course, I have to do my life update. Not much going on lately. I realized that my well, I guess there's a lot going on, but I can't really tell you about it yet. So I'm really stressed, but I can't tell you why yet. But I realized that my self-concept, which I've talked about that in the previous episode, but if you aren't really familiar with that term, like basically just my concept of self, wow, way to explain. My self-esteem level, how I view myself, is very low. And I've talked about this before, but I just feel like it's at an all-time low lately, and I don't know why. It's not very fun, but it's gotten to the point that I feel like I can't really progress until I do something about it. I also saw a psychic and it was like a one question thing, and so I just asked her about like my career and like my finances, and if you don't believe in this, it's fine, sorry, but she basically brought up my self-concept and was like, yeah, no, you gotta work on this because you're attracting like really negative energy and like things you don't want in this area because your self-concept is so low. So that was really fun. That was a great conversation, and I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that that is what was going on. So I've been trying to figure out ways to fix that, mainly today, but like I don't know, I've done videos on like how to fix your self-concept and like that, but usually all the stuff that I said in there works, but I feel like I'm a really extreme case, which is kind of really sad, but I don't really know how to fix it. So I've been trying to do affirmations. I've been trying to do things that just make me feel good, but it's really hard because I just don't really have the motivation, and I am balling on a budget, so I just haven't been able to, it's not like I can like splurge and like go get my nails done or get a haircut or do the things that usually work. So we're just really, we're in a place. So hopefully I can continue to meditate and figure that out. But the podcast growing as fast as it has definitely helped, and I wanted to thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it because I don't think you guys realize, like, obviously I'm not trying to put my worth in anything outward, like, other than my, like, I want it to be based accurately on myself and not just like based on like the podcast or like how people view me or anything like that. But I will say that like this has definitely helped me find my worth and help me navigate how to do that, and I hope that it has helped you guys too. And oh my gosh, I just love the community so much, and I can't wait to continue to grow, and I'm just so grateful for you guys. So that's enough of this sappy moment we're having. Without further ado, let's hop on into the worst proposals. Diving right in, I'm gonna put my glasses on because I can't see, but if there's like a glare on my glasses, might be. So this one says, my dad worked as a teller at a bank and was going to have dinner with my soon-to-be mom, her brother, and the brother's wife. He scheduled this dinner months in advance and was going to propose during. He was called by his boss and told he had to go do a car repo right now and was forced to go. Okay, pause. I didn't know bank tellers how to do car repos. Maybe this is just like back in the day, so to speak. But like I thought that was towing companies that did the car repos. Wild. Anyway, continue. He drove out with my mom, so one could drive the repo and the other their own car. While they drove back, it was too late to get dinner, so he signaled her to the side of the freeway, jumped in the passenger side of the car she was in, and proposed. Needless to say, she didn't reply for a week to it, but agreed eventually. Okay, I get that. I get it. I can't say that like I disagree. First off, I hate work that doesn't respect boundaries. Like, this man was literally about to propose and his boss was like, no. I literally cannot stand any job that does not respect personal boundaries, time boundaries, things like that. Like, I think that people will be so much more productive if work looked at them like a teammate instead of a slave. And I think that there are places that treat their employees like that, and that's why they're so much more productive. Anyway, that's a whole nother tangent, but I kind of like, it's not his fault, but I'm kind of like, do you hear Luna? It's not his fault, but I'm kind of geeking that she didn't reply for a week because she's like, I know my worth and this ain't it. Because like, I get like, it's not his fault, it was just an unfortunate situation, but I almost wish he would have waited instead of doing it in a passenger seat of a random car, unless it was her car. Still not the vibe. I get that some guys are not the most romantic, but also like this is hopefully only gonna happen once, and so it needs to be a once in a lifetime thing, in my opinion. And your wife is gonna look back on this for the rest of your life, and like, I'm sure she was more understanding after you explained it, but I think both of you deserve a more magical moment. So the next one is, this one is just says, what is the worst engagement proposal you've heard of? And then someone says, any of the countless engagements that go on for months, years before the breakup. I agree. I think that I low-key want a long engagement because I want like a really big wedding, but I also do not want to get engaged until like we have the money, the time, like and I want to treat our engagement like an engagement, like a different phase of life. The couples that get engaged and they almost immediately pretend they never got engaged, she just wears the ring, and then like they just like eventually get like break up. I get that being frustrating. Someone said either painting or branding marry me on a live animal. Yeah, can't say that's a good idea. Please don't. As a horse girl, I don't want that. Maybe some girls do, but can't get behind branding. I obviously do not like branding, and I would not be like, oh my gosh, swoon, if someone painted marry me on the side of my horse. Proposing at other people's weddings, it's not your day. I agree. Like I mentioned, this is a once in a lifetime situation, hopefully, so let's treat it as such. People's weddings are their once in a lifetime opportunity as well. Like, you only get married once, hopefully, so please don't ruin their day. And get your own romantic day. Like, do your own thing. Someone's always gonna, like, if your girlfriend or fiance, wife is always gonna associate your engagement with that couple, and it almost just, so I get that some people aren't that romantic. I get that some people are kind of awkward, but I also think that there's a line between not being romantic and having a hard time coming up with those kinds of ideas and just being lazy. And I almost feel like just proposing at someone else's wedding is really lazy. Like, you need to do your own thing, buddy. Like, we have standards, and I don't know, it just comes off as lazy to me. I wasn't a witness, but a former friend of mine proposed to his girlfriend while they were just chilling on their couch watching TV. She told me it was lackluster. He just pulled out a ring and was like, hey, wanna get married? She sounded super disappointed when she told me, but they got married anyway, and as far as I know, they're still together. This is another one of those situations where, like, getting married at home could be done correctly. Like, there's a cute way to do it. Like, my best friend that just got engaged, he did it at, like, her apartment, like their apartment, and it was cute. There's a cute way to do it to show that you put in effort, and I think that at the end of the day, that's all girls want. We just want someone to put effort and invest in us. Because, like, if you don't invest in us for that 30 seconds, how are we gonna be like, man, he loves us, he's gonna invest his entire life in me for the rest of, like, you know, in marriage? Like, if you can't even, yeah. So I think this is another one of those situations, like, where getting engaged at home can be done correctly, but just, like, looking at someone being like, all right, and then not putting any thought into it, no, absolutely not. This one's kind of long. Okay, so the title for this is I had the worst proposal, and it might be a red flag. I think the proposals can actually be red flags. That's a hot take, but I agree that if a proposal sucks, it can be a red flag. Like going back to, did they put effort into it, things like that. Anywho, let's get into it. Me, who's 21 female, and my now fiance, 25 male, have been together for more than 2 years. We get along great, and we have talked a lot about getting married, having kids, traveling, etc. We kind of had a planning of our future where we would wait to move in together before getting engaged. Around 1 month ago, after an interview in the morning, my boyfriend came back home with a bag of donuts. He never does that and seemed suspiciously happy to come back. He gave it to me while I was just woken up, but it was a flavor I hated, and he knew that. I only ate one. He pushed me to eat more and looked in the bag for other flavors, and that's when I see a ring at the bottom of this greasy bag full of donuts. My first thought was, he bought me a cute ring. That's nice. But then he gets on both knees on the bed and proposes. I'm happy and shocked, but I say yes. After 5 minutes of cuddling, he gets up and asks to play video games with me. I say yes, and I go to the bathroom. There, I rethink about his proposal and hear my thoughts. The apartment was a mess, plates, dirty laundry, food, and he didn't take the time to clean it. Everything seemed rushed between the interview and video games. In the past, he asked what kind of ring I wanted for the proposal, and the ring doesn't look like what I described. Actually, you type engagement ring online, and it's the first model that pops up. So I go to him and tell him that I am disappointed and I'd like him to do a second one. He's disappointed and says he'd do it during our holidays, which are a few days after. But now our holidays were over, and he didn't do anything, even if I reminded him twice, and saying that his proposal would be one of the biggest regrets of my life. I kind of cry whenever I think about it. What do you think of this situation? The lack of effort in his proposal, the fact that I'm planning a future with him. By the way, from his point of view, nothing is wrong with his proposal, and people find it funny. He says that being messy is our thing, and that he loves me, and nothing was rushed for him since he thought about it for several months now. What do you think matters the most, actions or words? So I don't know if I said this, but I read somewhere, it might have been in the comments, that it wasn't the kind, yeah, okay, it was a flavor she hated. So that was a red flag for me. And then, like, it just doesn't seem like he cared. Like, I don't understand. I just don't get it. Like, I get what he was trying to do with the bag, but like, as for me personally, I would like to have, like, at least be kind of dressed up and feel at least like confident in myself, like feel beautiful when he's proposing to me, because like I just want to, I don't know, I just want to feel beautiful. I don't want to feel like I just crawled out of bed, my hair's knotted, and I need to shower. And like she mentioned, like if you're gonna propose in the house or apartment or whatever, at least clean it. At least help clean it. Like she's like, he didn't even clean it. Like, I get it. It doesn't have to be spotless, but don't be like, it shouldn't be noticeably disgusting either. And then for him to kind of be like, oh, well, messy's just our thing. Like, no, it's giving me the ick. Like, it's just giving me the ick. There's a lot of things wrong with this. The fact that it's the first, it's not the ring that she even showed him. It's the first one that comes up on Google. Like, he obviously did not put any effort into this. And he's trying to look like he put effort into it, which he didn't, which is almost worse than just not putting effort into it. Because, like, at least, like, don't pretend you did. You know, I don't even know. That's just not the vibe. Not witnessed, but my grandma was supposed to in this way sometime in the 40s. As she was sitting shotgun in the car with a guy she considered a friend, he said to her out of nowhere, "Rita, what I'd really like to have with you is something along the lines of a permanent franchise." His offer was declined. See, this is what I mean by someone who's not romantic at all. Why? I'm glad he shot his shot, shooted his shot. I don't really know the best way to say that, but it's gonna be a no. And then it was in the 40s, so maybe it was a really cute car and it was more, I feel like riding in the car was more romantic in the 40s than it is now, but I don't know. And maybe that's just me. Like, I still, yeah, the permanent franchise gets me. My sister got a traditional, "Would you like to be buried with my people" proposal. She said no. Yeah, I would not. Like, please don't bring up death in a proposal. I get till death do us part and things like that, but that's really the only time, and that's in a wedding. That's not when you're like proposing. Like, if you're proposing and you're like, "Hey, I can't wait to die next to you," let's rethink the direction. This one's another one that's kind of long. My college friends got together for a reunion. When we got back to the hotel room from a restaurant, one of my friends told me that he planned on proposing to his girlfriend, who is also a friend of ours. He asked us to stall while he folded an origami paper ring. He thought it would be sentimental to propose with a paper ring because he jokingly did it when they first started dating. He didn't think to have an actual ring to go along with the paper one. For half an hour, he struggled to fold together a paper ring out of origami instructions that he had never attempted before. His girlfriend had 3 to 4 margaritas at the restaurant and she was plastered. She was lying on the bed, half passed out when he proposed. She laughed in his face at the crumpled, half put together paper ring, thinking it was a joke. There was an awkward silence until he decided for her that she had said yes, since she was too drunk to make the decision herself. They broke up a few months later. Okay, you had me until he said he decided for her. Like, this isn't a huge life decision, not to mention you shouldn't be deciding something for someone anyway, especially if they cannot consent to it themselves, you know what I mean? But taking that out, I think that this had the potential to go really right. He just like fumbled the ball. First thing, he should have had a real ring, because I think that's a common thing. Like, I think it's common in relationships for guys to like fake propose, at least like from what I've seen and what I know. Like, with like, you know how when you get almond milk, there's like those little caps, that like very much those vibes, like propose with that, and then, you know. So I think that it was a good idea, but he should have had a real ring. He should have had like a venue that wasn't their hotel room. And I think that if he would have planned better, he wouldn't, like, he would have done it before she drank. And it would have been like more romantic. So the venue, if he would have changed the venue and had a real ring, it would have been fine. But I think that he rushed it, and he probably was not planning to propose. He was just like, you know what, screw it, we're getting engaged. But I'm kind of glad they broke up, because he sounded really controlling based on that one sentence. And the original poster actually commented and said he was really controlling, so glad that worked out for the girl. My brother-in-law proposed to my sister-in-law in a gas station parking lot. Jim and Pam. He was so nervous, he asked her to go get a candy bar while he got his courage up in the car. When she came back, he was still too nervous and asked her to go get a different candy bar. And by the time she got back, she was grumpy because he made her go twice, and then he proposed. She said yes, but we still laugh about it. See, this is one of those times where like he's just like really nervous, but he wants to have like a sweet proposal, so I get it. But the gas station, really, like, no. Even when Jim and Pam did it, was it really that cute? Like, if it didn't start raining, or it had been raining, would it have been that cute? And they were in the middle of a gas station parking lot. Like, I think that since they were long distance, I guess that was fine. Like, it makes it cuter because they met halfway. But if you're just like chilling with your girl, why the gas station? Like, we need to remove gas stations from potential venues to get engaged. And I also get why she was grumpy, because I get so grumpy if Josh asks me to get something twice. Like, if I get up, get him something, and then 5 minutes later he's like, can you go get this? Which is really hypocritical, because I definitely do that to him all the time. And I know I do that, but I get it. My ex and I sitting in a McDonald's car park eating dinner. We're about to move in together into our first home. And then he said, shall we get engaged? Because then people will buy us stuff we need and we'll save a ton of money. And then she said, how romantic. No. Yeah, I have heard this. Like, we joke about it a lot. Like, obviously people joke about it, but the fact that she took it to heart and posted it on Reddit makes me question if she didn't get the joke, or if he actually was like serious, you know? Because we've definitely, like, Josh and I have joked about it. Most of my friends have joked, because we're all in the phase where we're all like moving in with our boyfriends and stuff. So I get joking, that's really common, but maybe she didn't get the joke, or he was being dead serious. I don't know. She put ... after like quoting what he said, so I don't know. We'll never know. That one didn't have any comments on it. My roommate recently proposed in an Olive Garden, not the OG, with a free ring he ordered on some website. How is it free? Did he pay for shipping? To a girl his parents don't like, without telling them. Okay, what? Like, I don't even have a response to this, because why? Like, no, Olive Garden is not the place to propose. What did the ring look like? I don't care if it was free, if it was beautiful, but genuinely, like, what did it look like? And then, yeah, the whole to a girl his parents don't like without telling him. I can understand that, because I know people that don't have a great relationship with their parents, but then that also puts the girl in a weird position, because they're gonna blame her and be like, he didn't tell us, and they're gonna put the blame, like, they're gonna shift the blame to her. And why don't they like her? Is there a red flag? Is he a jerk and it's on his end? Is it her? Like, I need more context, but I'm gonna just go with a immediate no. My mom and dad have been married for 30 years since last September. One morning, my dad sat up in bed, turned to my mom and asked her to be his wife. Lame as F with a happy ending. Again, like, this is one of those at home where it can be romantic. Personally, I wouldn't vibe with it, but I know a lot of people that wouldn't mind getting engaged this way, so I think that this is just like one of those, like, do you want a big shebang? Do you want cameras? Do you want, like, I want a videographer and a photographer so that I have that to look back on, but some people don't care. Like, they just aren't like that. So I think it just comes down to the person, but it's not necessarily like bad. Like, I'm not cringing. I think it's just a matter of who wants that. My first stepdad proposed while my mom was in the middle of sorting dirty laundry in the utility room. This is a no. Don't do this. Don't do this. Like, hey, while you're doing my laundry, can you baby me for the rest of my life while you're at it? No, I mean, that's not, like, it's giving those vibes, but it's not. But just like, while you're girlfriend, wife, fiance is doing chores of any sort around the house, don't propose unless you like make it really cute and you're like, honey, come here, and you like pull her out into the backyard and there's like a huge beautiful setup. But if you just walk into the laundry room and you're like, hey, let's get hitched, like, no. And I can't stand for that. No, standards are higher. Some of us from the office attended a coworker's party. It was a fun night. There was food and a DJ with lots of people dancing. Anyhow, my boss asked the DJ for the microphone and asked his then girlfriend if she would marry him. Pretty much everyone there was a stranger to both of them, so it was kind of awkward and she seemed really embarrassed. She told him in front of this big crowd that she'd like to talk about it in private. I don't know what they talked about, but they didn't get married. Felt bad for the dude, but he could be overwhelming at times. Yeah, this is another case of it's up to like you and what your preference is. If like some people don't care to be in front of a big crowd. I think I would be fine if I wasn't on stage. Like if we were at a really, really nice restaurant maybe, or like in the park or somewhere where like other people were there, I'd be fine. But if we were like on stage like this, or somewhere where we are the focal point and everybody's all watching us, I would probably be really uncomfortable. It's not that I'm gonna say no, it's just I don't like that. But some people love that. Obviously she wasn't that into him though, because she said no. So I feel like no one would want to be on the spot like that if they're gonna say no, you know? Like no one wants to say like get him. I don't know why it's so embarrassing to say no to a proposal, but apparently it is. So I've heard about a fella from my school that supposedly proposed at his soon-to-be wife's grandma's funeral. He thought it was a nice act to let her see it, or her spirit, I guess. Kind of makes sense if you believe in that stuff. No, it still doesn't, but really just seems like quite a crappy experience in my opinion. Don't propose at people's funerals. I don't know why we have to make this a rule and have to freaking lay down the law here, but no. This is like almost like talking about how you're taking away from someone at a wedding. It's worse at a funeral because it's just, I feel like it's so insensitive. Like this was her grandma. Like I don't know how close she was with her, but if I was at my grandma's funeral, I still have both my grandparents with me, and I think that I would be really, really, really upset. And I don't want someone like putting life decisions in front of my face, you know? And also the whole spirit thing, like if you are spiritual and you do believe in ghosts, I think that he would know that like her grandma is with her regardless. Like her grandma isn't only with her when she's at her funeral. Like her body's there, but her spirit is going to be with her always. So he doesn't have to propose there. This one is super short. If you have kids with you, close their ears. But it just says during sex. They weren't engaged that long since he slept with her sister not long after. Oh, he sounds like a real keeper. Not much to say here. Don't propose during the big sex. My dog is just pitter-pattering around. What are you doing, buddy? He's hungry, but I'm not feeding him until after because I'm just not. But, yeah, not much to say there. I have no respect for a cheater. I think there is no excuse. I don't think there's it's complicated. You either cheat or you don't. And don't propose during sexy time. That is not the appropriate time to propose. I'm speechless on that one. This one says, my engagement was probably the worst. Like talking about their own. Met my hubby at 15, and after the first date we just decided we'd get married one day. There was no actual proposal. I actually know a lot of couples where the guy is like, so we're engaged, right? And like never actually propose. That's a common thing. And I feel like guys just assume like, oh, we're vibing, like, oh, we're engaged. And it's like, no, if you don't get down on one knee and give me the ring, we're not engaged. Like, I'm sorry, but that's how I see it. If you can't even put in the work enough to get down on one knee, how am I gonna expect you to put in the work for the rest of your life? You know, like, and I get that guys are just like, yeah, no, we're just engaged. And that's kind of sweet that they just like view it that way, but my mind is too compartmentalized for that. Like, if we have not had a moment where it's like, okay, from this point forward, we are engaged, then no, we're not engaged. Okay, a teacher was going to propose to another teacher at the senior prom. Cute, right? The DJ was in on it. It was all planned. When the DJ stopped the music and said, "We have an extra special question for one of the ladies out there," a student ran on stage and asked his sophomore girlfriend to marry him. She tearfully accepted, and he gave her his class ring, and they sloppily kissed like two plungers stuck together for an awkward amount of time. Finally, the DJ just started to play music. This one is interesting because it was a really long story that they continued in the comments, and I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but I'll basically give the highlights. So this teacher found the girl in the bathroom, and she was crying on the phone with her friends because she didn't want to marry this guy, but they had had the big sexy time, and she did it unprotected, and she was worried that she was pregnant. So then her mom calls because she sees they're engaged all over